Hey everybody, it's James of the Comedypreneur Show, and I just want to say, what's up guys? How's it going? Hope you were well. I know that most of us are stuck at home, unfortunately, but I'm hoping that I can provide some good stuff for you today. With this whole thing going down, there's a lot of people that either were about to start comedy, had done a open mic, or are now trying to decide whether they're going to stick around and be a comedian. So I thought I would address it and say, what are the things that you need to start a comedy career? What does a comedian need to start a career? What do you need, right? Before we jump into that, please like and subscribe. Feel free to leave a comment at the end of this episode and let me know what you liked, hated, loved, didn't love, whatever, because I want to give the best content possible to you guys. So, here we go. You ready? We're going to jump into it. What does a comedian need to start a career? And I feel that there are 5 big things that every comedian needs, right? The first one is learn to observe and report. Now, this isn't that Seth Rogen movie, right? This doesn't mean you need to be calling the cops on people that are, you don't need to turn into a Karen. Not that. But you need to kind of observe what's going on in the world around you. When you see people that are doing weird stuff or a situation that's unique, learn to observe that. Watch. Be a people watcher. Be a situation watcher. And feel free to write stuff down. If someone says something funny, if there's a conversation that happens, write that down. Right? It's funny. Maybe you can't use it in a joke. Maybe you can't. But maybe you want to write a sketch at some point, or you want to write a screenplay, or you want to tell a story on a podcast. Whatever it is, you have that doing it. So write that. Now, a lot of times those could be even inner thoughts in your head, and maybe write those down. Oh, I was thinking about this thing or whatever, right? So you need to do that. And since most jokes are based on a kernel of truth, maybe the whole thing's not, those make the best stories. So if you're always observing and reporting and watching what's going on, you're going to come up with a great amount of material, right? And just watching the world around you. Because then also, it lets you be relatable. If the situation happens a lot, right? If you're at Target and things are happening and you see them happening and you write that down and you take a little note in your phone or whatever it is, then when you tell that story, other people have been to the grocery store or Walmart or Target or whatever. They've all been to those places. They know what it's like to wait in line, and now you have a way to let them into the story and connect. All right, the next one's going to be learn to write a joke. A lot of comedians think that they need to be jokey, like hack jokey, like constantly like da-da-da, the bump thing. The jokes are not like that. We don't do that anymore. That's not it's not vaudeville, right? Vaudeville is a whole different thing. It doesn't exist anymore. We don't do that. But you do need to write jokes. And this doesn't mean going to Google, finding a joke and changing it. That's joke theft. There is a whole episode about joke theft and a whole article I wrote about it. That's joke theft, right? Just taking something and changing it. That's what Carlos Mencia got called out for. He would take someone's joke and then change, Italian to Mexican, or lasagna to burrito, or whatever it was and stuff. Don't do that. What we should be doing is coming up with your new piece. You got to learn how to do a setup and do a punchline. Once you can write those 2 things, you can write any joke, because all comedy is, or it's storytelling, a lot of it now. But it's all set up and punchline, set up and punchline, set up and punchline. You're repeating that process. Once you know how to set something up and pay it off to get the laugh, then you can set something up, pay it off, and get the laugh. And that's over and over and over again. And you want to write to your own voice and tone and style, right? So could you imagine Steve Martin doing Chris Rock jokes, right? Like, that's not going to work. That's not his tone. That's not his style. That's not his voice, right? So you got to make sure that you do it. Now, we're all going to emulate people when we start comedy, and that's fine. You can do that. But you don't want to be an exact replica. You don't want to be a copycat of that person. And you definitely don't want to do their jokes. So just remember that. The next one's going to be learn what works for you. So if you're a quiet person, right, you talk quietly. Maybe you tell really simple, quiet jokes. You don't tell whole stories. Maybe that works for you. Maybe you're a person who's very outrageous and outlandish and, crazy and wild and whatever. You're a Steve Martin, right? Then you're going to do the style for you. Now, could you imagine it, again, Steve Martin trying to do, Mitch Hedberg jokes, or Mitch Hedberg doing Steve Martin bits, right? It's not going to work. That doesn't work for them. That's not who they are. So you have to really kind of look at those things and see what improves you. Now, here's the thing that I would do. I would go, and if you're uncomfortable on stage, say you're an uncomfortable person on stage, maybe take a speaking course, like how to speak in public speaking, or a Toastmaster or something like that. It will help you a lot, because there's going to be this thing where you walk on and it's uncomfortable. And so you've got to figure out what works for you. So if you're not a high energy person, don't try high energy jokes. If you're a low energy person, don't try, to do that same thing. Just figure out who you are and then apply that. The best comedians are ones who feel like they're the most authentic version of themselves. And for many comedians, being the most authentic version of yourself is what you're being on stage. So do that. All right. And that ties into the next one, which is learn to respect, not fear the stage, right? Everyone has stage fright. It's one of the largest fears in the world. Most people would rather be dead than give a speech, right? They'd rather die because they feel like they're going to die giving a speech. So again, that's where Toastmasters or a speaking course or giving, if you're in a church or a religious group or a Boy Scouts, or give a talk, volunteer. Because in those situations, it's easier to kind of, the people, so it's going to be easier than in front of strangers, because in front of strangers, you don't know who they are, you don't know how they're going to react. But do it. And if it's something you love, like if you're a Boy Scout leader or something, and you're good at, teaching kids how to do fire, then be the person to teach them and get up and talk in front of them. That'll give you a little more confidence. So try that, okay? So that's really good, and then you're going to get better. Now, the next one is going to be really weird, because there is a kind of argument about this among the comedy community, but I am a very much pro person on this, which is learning to test material off stage. This doesn't mean going up to your friends and be like, hey, can I tell you a joke that I just wrote? Don't do that, right? That's going to make them kind of off-put or give you a fake reaction or not the real reaction. But let's say you're at work, right? You're in the office, someone brings up a topic that you have a joke to, right? They've never heard your joke, or you're working on it. You work it in the conversation. You use the part of their setup, or maybe use your setup to set it up, and then you do the punchline for them, right? The biggest part is doing the punchline. The setup we can figure out later. The punchline, see if it works. So you deliver the punchline. If they laugh, hey, you've got a good punchline, right? If they genuinely laugh, if they go, okay, and then they move on, that's probably not going to be a good punchline. You need to go back and rethink that joke. But I do a lot of times where I do that, where I work jokes into a conversation that I'm working on. Too many comedians think it's a monologue, like you're talking to people. You're giving a TED Talk or a speech. And while you are speaking in front of people, it's not a speech, it's a conversation. You tell the setup punchline, they laugh. That's their response to the conversation. You tell a setup punchline, they laugh. That's their part of the conversation. It's a back and forth. Papa, I say this, you laugh. I say this, you laugh. Back and forth, right? It's just like tennis. That's what you should be thinking of. Or a boxing match. Throw, they throw. Throw, they throw. Like, that's what it should be, back and forth all the time. So take chances in real life to work out jokes, to work out situations. And also, think about all of the conversations that you have with people. Sometimes you say something funny unintentionally, or you didn't really think about it, it just comes out, and then people laugh at it. If you are in that moment, observe and report. Go back and write that down, or record it, or run back to your desk, or whatever it is, and do that, because then you're going to have a great piece of material you can use on stage. So, I hope that helps. Again, here are the things that you need as a comedian to start a career. You got to learn to observe and report, learn to write a joke, learn what works for you, learn to respect, not fear the stage, and learn to test your material off stage. Now, I talked in the previous one about how you prepare and remember your set. That's part of the testing material off stage as well. You're going to practice it, repeat it, say it, learn it. It's going to get stuck in there, right? The more you repeat, the more you get it in there. That's how people learn. And whatever your process is for learning stuff, so when you studied in school, if it was writing it out, then write it out. If it was listening to something, if you're a visual person, record yourself doing the bit and then watch yourself. Those will all help. But you've got to get comfortable coming up with all this material. You've got to build material. You can't just start with nothing, right? So I hope that helps. If you guys have any questions, any comments, please leave them in the comments below. Please also like and subscribe. Follow this channel. I've got more stuff, more people coming. I hope that you enjoy it. I hope you're all safe. Have fun and get ready to turn your funny into money. Bye.